Hey, Michael, can you see our screen?
Yes, I can. You ideas worth spreading.
Yep, you ideas worth spreading. So the reason why this is obviously the for you new people, new and old alike, and it's just a reminder that the most important person in this presentation is who? It's not me, it's you guys. And we always are, as your leadership, looking for ideas worth spreading. So I'm totally ripping that off from the TED Talks. Okay, here we go. And we're going to talk today about what is a giver versus a taker. What is a giver versus a taker? Is Sharon on? Is Sharon on? Sharon, you coming in? Let's go, let's go. Here we go. So a giver versus a taker. And I was thinking about when I came up with this slide, what will be running through your minds? And so I'm going to do some mind reading right now. What's happening in your mind right now and is one of two things or both of these things are occurring in your brain right now. You're asking yourself in your own mind, what are you asking yourself right now in your own mind?
Am I a giver or a taker?
Am I a giver or a taker? And if you want to expand about that, what are you saying about the people in your life right now? Are they givers or takers? So we always do this self-mental inventory. This self-mental inventory, or this inventory of the people in our lives. Okay? So giver versus taker, but before we get into that, what do we always start off with? Cool. This should be the format of all your presentations. Come with a pearl of wisdom in the beginning, right? Yes, Damien got it. We have a quote. So here's today's quote. Today's quote is come from contribution, and I have it purple. Somebody tell me why is it purple?
Bold law.
That's a good yes. If anything I make purple in my presentations are typically going to have to do with bold or or living a life by design. So that is a bold law. Come from contribution. And which one of those do you think that fits? Givers or takers?
Givers.
Givers always come from contribution, but that is our quote for today, which is apropos. That's French for appropriate. Are you a taker or are you a giver? Would you guys like to know what defines a giver? Would anyone like to know what defines a giver? Yes. If you're a giver, you want to know. If you're a taker, you don't care. What defines a giver? That is an excellent question. By the way, if anybody asks a question when you're giving a presentation, always say, that's a great question. Number one. You guys ready? Write this down because I'm going to go through the slide very slowly, and I'm going to say it slowly. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to go to it, but I'm going to pick people on the huddle this morning to read it out loud. Sharon, read the first one for us.
A giver is outward focused.
Outward focused. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. A giver is outward focused. Brooks, what does that mean to be outward focused? Give me an example.
Well, an example would put the interests of others before yourself. So with our clients, we're always looking out for their interests.
Give me an example where you do that. Specific example where you focus on the client and not on you as an agent.
Their schedule,
Yes.
their needs,
Yeah.
regarding their timeline,
Needs, goals and priorities, things like that.
priorities.
David, what if you're working with a buyer, what would be an example of you focusing on them being outward focused as opposed to yourself?
What initially came to mind is a play on what Brooks said, among other things.
Yes.
Like focusing on what they need, listen. Don't try to steer them to something that is not appropriate. That's not.
Yeah. Can we do a huddle? Could we do a 15-minute huddle? Could we do an all-day presentation just on the art of listening? What did you say? Exactly. That's what all the students say in the beginning of that class. I'm sorry, what did you say? So being outward focused. Okay. Let's see here. Kevin, give me an example where you are outward focused with your family. Outward focused with your family, Kevin.
I need help with this one.
I'll help you out. You know what? That's an excellent example of being a giver, not being like, oh, I got to come up with the answer. I've always said it.
I can give one.
Somebody help them out. How
So Kevin, you know, when we're talking, and so just so you know, in case you don't know, Kevin's my mentor agent. So I I can be a big time suck for him. But he focuses on his family. So when he needs to do things with his son, if he like shares the schedule, like here's, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this at this time, but I'm free before, I'm free after.
So he time blocks during his family time.
So I think you're focusing on your family.
What if it's not on your schedule and it doesn't exist, and the common trap and the common fail that everyone does is we don't put our family on our schedule. I would challenge every single one of you within the sound of my voice. If I take a look at your calendar, would there be anything on there for your family? It would say things like date night. It would say like, put my phone down and look into the eyes of my significant other for 20 minutes and have a very connected conversation. It would be from Laura, have a digital sunset, no electronics between X time and X time. Are there things on your calendar that are a reflection of what's important to you? Okay? That's called being outward focused. Number two, let's see, Adrian, read number 2.
Operate from abundance.
So operating from abundance. And let's see, Damien, what do you think that means, operating from abundance?
Maybe how can you be a blessing to others from what you already have?
Yeah,
Giving
that's a good
what
one.
you have.
Coming from abundance. Let's see here. May, what does it mean to you to operate from abundance? May.
Sharing your blessings that you're taking,
What's something in your life? What is something in your life that you shared with others?
okay, now I know. For example, every time I get my paycheck, I actually share it with my kids. I actually buy them what they want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I will tell you guys about abundance. What do we know about abundance? What does it mean to come from scarcity, though?
There's not enough.
Thinking,
So you're like,
I'll give you an example in our business. There's not enough leads. I don't get any AOD shifts. Things like that. That's what when we get on scarcity. I'm going to focus, obviously, and you need to know where you're going. You need to know where you're at. And I'm not saying anybody's takers or givers within the sound of my voice, but at the end, I'm going to tell you what takers do. Okay? So operate from abundance. Number 3. Oh, Raylan, perfect. Can you read for us number 3?
Be unconditional.
Be unconditional. So let's see here. Miranda, what does it mean to be unconditional? To be unconditional. Give me a specific example. Miranda.
No matter what.
Oh.
Do your prospecting no matter what.
Say again.
Do your prospecting no matter what, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, that's a way of being unconditional. Like, you know what, I'm only going to do it if the conditions are right. So being unconditional. Let's see here. Jody, what about being unconditional to your family or loved ones? How do we do that unconditionally? What's ways that we do that?
Love them even when they're acting a certain way or doing things that you don't necessarily want them to do.
Yeah, especially with our children, right? I'll tell you this right now. Being a giver is a learned behavior. How do we know this from the way that our kids behave, that being a giver is a learned behavior? Because what are they like? Raylan, what are your kids like when they were young? All of our children were like this when they're young.
Super sweet. They're angelic. And they learn to lie.
Yeah. But what is the main focus of any child or baby or toddler?
They're inwards, like
They're inward focused. Being unconditional about things and all of that, and all of these, they are takers. Babies are takers. Feed me, change my diaper, pay attention to me. Everything is about the baby. So I will tell you that the good news is that what we're talking about can be changed in yourself. You can shift your being. All right, number 4, let's see here. Number 4 is Royal. Read for us number 4.
Have something to give.
Have something to give. Have something to give. Okay, in any interaction that you come across with other individuals or people, whether it's something tangible or intangible, what's something, and let's see if you guys can come to it. I'm going to set this so up well that I hope somebody will come to it. It's something that we can give to another human being. It doesn't cost us anything, and we always have it with us all the time, and it's absolutely free.
Listening ear.
A smile. A smile. That was right out of Hollywood Friends and Influence People. I think they did a whole thing during the holidays, especially, is a good time. Because during the holidays is when people dip with emotions. And so it's more important that you give smiles during the holidays and then take that through the rest of the year. Right? When you give a smile, when you smile at a stranger, what do? They smile back. Okay. Number 5, last one, here we go. So I'm gonna ask Chris. Chris, are you there? Can you read number 5 for us, Chris?
Everything is connected.
Everything is connected. Someone tell me, this is more coming into the side thing here, but somebody tell me, what does that mean, everything is, Adrian, what does that mean, everything is connected?
That we're all interconnected, especially here in Hawaii. We're so like the relationships, the friendships, everything overlaps in some way. Yeah.
You know, it's either through higher power, either through the word of God, either through our faith, either in the belief that all human beings are connected. But I'll give you an example, and it's a chicken skin moment in your life. When you're thinking of a loved one, and then all of a sudden a text or an inbound phone call comes from that person, right when you're thinking with that person. If you didn't know it at the time and you didn't know how to put a name to it or articulate it, that's an example of how everything is connected. Okay? So what defines a taker? If we don't know, in your phone, if your phone didn't have the GPS location of where you're at, and you punched in the destination address, it wouldn't know how to map it. Knowing where you need to go, knowing what your goals and priorities are not enough. You need to know where you're at. So what defines a taker? I'm glad you asked. That's an excellent question. What defines a taker? It's the opposite of all the things that we talked about. Instead of outward focus, they are inward. It's all about me. Why didn't somebody catch me? Why isn't somebody paying attention to me? Why don't I get the recognition? Instead of coming from abundance, it's all about, what is it? Say the next word, everybody. Scarcity. There's not enough leads to go around. You know what? I'm only going to give at church when I have enough. You know, when things turn around for me, I'll start tithing. That's coming from a mindset of scarcity. You know, the market's shifting, and we got to do this and we got to do that. There are strategies, but your mindset should still be coming from abundance. You shouldn't, what agents do when they're in a desperate situation, you know what, I gotta close these people because I gotta make my mortgage payment. The market's gonna shift and I need this commission to make my mortgage payment. That is completely scarcity minded. If everything is connected, will the client sense that subconsciously?
Yes.
And they will not wanna do business with you. They'll do it in the short term if you're a heavy closer, but if you're not coming from abundance and you're coming from scarcity, it's not sustainable. Conditional. We all guilty of doing this. What do we do to our loved ones? You know what? I'll love you when I'm in a good mood. I'll love you when you're in a good mood. That is not unconditional love, right? So, you know, this homeless person, you know, if they weren't so stinky and smelly, I would go up there and help them, okay? But we're unconditionally, we go to them because how we treat the least of us is how we treat the greatest of us, okay? We withhold. We always do this in our relationships. You know what? When I come home, so-and-so, they didn't pay attention to me, so I'm going to withhold my love and affection to them. That's what a taker does. A giver has something to give no matter what, and they do it unconditionally. Disconnected. You know, I walk into a room, I'm not really paying attention to anybody. I'm not, you know, I pass that person in the street, not making eye contact, looking at our phone. We're in a society that technology-wise, we are so connected technology-wise, we're disconnected. We're so connected technology-wise, we're more disconnected as human beings with each other than at any time in our lives. Good news is, I'm reminding you, and you know what you need to do. Can we be one or the other all of the time? Somebody answer that question for me. Can we be one or the other all the time?
Yes.
Probably not.
No.
No.
No. What else? In human nature. Let me ask you a
Human nature,
question.
no.
Do you think Mother Teresa was a giver all the time?
No.
No, it's not possible. But what we can, the good news is you're not one all of the time, because if you're a taker, then all hope would be lost. The good news is that we do fluctuate from one to another. It's human nature, right? This is ingrained in our programming from when we were children. Feed me, change my diaper, pay attention to me. And you know what's gonna happen when you become an old person? Feed me, change my adult diaper. Okay, so I have two questions for you. What are you most of the time? Don't answer that out loud. What are you most of the time? I really wanted to go deep on this conversation today. We talked about it on the radio show, and I felt in my heart that this would be an appropriate message for today to remind you. What good leaders do is we don't train you to do, a good leader trains you to do your job. A great leader has hopes and confidence and aspires to changing your life. So what are you most of the time is what I want you to think about today as you lead today's huddle. And what are the people that you hang around the most? What are they? Right? Take a look at the people that you're hanging around the most. Are they an indication of what you are?
Yes.
Probably. There is a high probability we attract to us what we are.
Right.
Right? We attract to us. You want to be a good friend, want good friends in your lives, be a good friend. Okay? So ahas, we are going to go to, who is 268-2115? Wait, is that, who is 268-2115?
Sharon on Maui.
All right, Sharon, what's your big takeaway for you?
Being connected or not connected? Which am I? I'm connected.
I will tell you, here's a tip that we learned from our side training is that making deep, fulfilled, completely focused eye contact. Go do that with a loved one for about a minute. They actually did for you factual people, that's all about the science. They did a study, a psychologist in New York did a study, and they had people staring at into each other's eyes for 4 minutes. What do you think the level was raised in them? And it's a word that starts with the word E. It was raised within these people when they were
Empathy.
Scientifically proven through whatever those indicators are that your empathy levels were raised if you really take time to stare into someone's eyes. Okay. All right, and Bernice, what's your big takeaway?
Actually, it's the same with Sharon about being connected, because especially nowadays, I've noticed, especially on social media, that the relationship most of the time is defined on how you respond to each other in social media. But the truth is, in personal life, the connection is I mean, the relationship is really different.
Yeah, it's really different. Okay. And then Laura, what's your big takeaway from today? And then we're gonna wrap it up.
Yes, can you guys hear me? I'm in the loudest Starbucks ever. Well, I really appreciated that you made it a point to recognize that you are never one or the other as a whole. I think as humans, we all go through seasons in life. And in those seasons in life, there are times where you have to be a little bit more of a taker and allow others to give to you, to grow you and develop you and help you get where you need to be. So that was my big takeaway is if you feel like too much of a taker or like you're a taker right now, you might just be in a season of life where you need to receive and just be sure to give back once you're on steadier ground.
And Laura brought up a great example, and I want to leave you with this. When we don't receive help, when we don't seek help, when we don't ask for help, are you being a giver or taker?
Taker.
You're being a taker because you're not allowing that other person to have the goodness flow through them, the empathy flow through them of going through the act of giving and or helping you. So it's important to be able to, as Laura pointed out, to be able to ask for help and receive it. Here's a real simple way, just super simple. The next time someone gives you a compliment, wow, that's a nice dress you're wearing today. Stop saying, oh, this is not that savors. Declining the compliment. I want you to do just one thing the next time someone gives you a compliment. You're going to do this crazy, wacky thing. It's so simple. You're going to say thank you. That is a nice aloha shirt you're wearing today, Brooks.
Thank you.
Boom. Okay. I appreciate being in business with every single one of you. I hope that this was helpful and brought value into your life. And let's have an awesome rest of the Friday and go have an awesome weekend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, guys.
Aloha.